between Rishi Brigu and Rishi Bhardwaj. And both discuss how to structure society so it becomes a happy, stable society. And Brigu says the only way happiness can come in a society if the four sources of power are, decentralized. That is, no one person has more than one source of power. So Bharadwaj says, what are those four sources of power? He says, knowledge, weapons, wealth, land. So naturally, he said that these four should be separated. Those who specialize in knowledge cannot have weapons, cannot have wealth, cannot have land. Those who have weapons cannot make a decision to go to war, cannot give punishment to the people. He has to defer to those with knowledge. That's how the Varna Vyavastha came. But it was not based. But it was not based on birth, you see. That's where the degeneration has taken place. Today I have sometimes people coming from, one day one man came and said, Swamiji, you must do something about Brahmins, they are suffering. I said, are you a Brahmin? He said, yes. I said, where do you work? He said, I'm executive director in Bata Shoe Company. I said, I am not a Brahmin. So the original idea was discipline. And it was not birth. If it was birth, you tell me, how did Veda Vyasa, who was the son of a fisherwoman, become a Maharishi and write the Mahabharata? How did Valmiki, who was a child of the Dalits, he became a Maharishi and wrote the Ramayana? How did Kalidasa, who was a hunter, become the Maharishi and became the poet of poets? How did Vishwamitra, who was born in a Kshatriya family, become the Rishi of Rishis? Even the gods used to be afraid of him. This has got nothing to do with birth. And if you are a Brahmin and you broke the law, you were punished. For example, Ravan was a Brahmin, and because he committed the crime of taking away Sita, he was punished and killed by a Kshatriya king. And the Brahmins didn't say, oh, this Kshatriya killed one of us Brahmins, so let us now finish him off. There was no such identification. It was a discipline that had to be observed. And that Vaishyas who earned wealth, they were not to get social status on the basis of their wealth, but on the extent of their philanthropy. In my opinion, this globalization has completely destabilized us. It has made us totally materialistic. Indians are becoming fast that way. They have lost these old values, and that is why corruption is increased with economic freedom and with economic reforms. There was corruption even in the Soviet period when we had Soviet economic model with licenses, quotas and so on. But now it's much more because the numbers are also much larger, the GDP is much larger. But it is because progressively we are becoming so materialistic that we think money is the source of all your social status and your position in society. But that has to change. We have to go back where we regard the pursuit of education, sacrifice, which Mahatma Gandhi represented, which today we respect our Swamijis, but they don't wear expensive clothes. But see the Pope, how well he dressed he is. In fact, the American student told me that our leader must be dressed in the best suit with the best tie, otherwise we won't even look at him. And you can see the mullahs in Iran, how well dressed they are. But look at our most prominent sadhus. They have hardly anything on their body except a piece of cloth. This is the tradition that must be brought back. And that tradition, if it comes back, then we're happy. The world is coming around to that. After all these Americans going to India for peace means that process, they have also accepted that. But we who created this tradition, this wonderful system, have forgotten about it. If that comes, long run, India will abolish corruption. I can tell you that India was not a corrupt society 500 years ago. There were Chinese travelers who came, they've written books. Vasco da Gama, he has written a book. There are so many visitors. Mark Twain came, he wrote a book. All of them say one thing, very honest people, they don't even lock their houses when they go out. What happened to us? Where have we lost it all? It's no use blaming foreign invasions in the past anymore. Now it is because of this crass materialism that has taken root in our mind, that money is everything, wealth is everything. That changes, then in the long run we'll be safe. Short run, you don't worry, I am not going to give up no matter what. I'm back in India on the 11th and 24th. I have this, from there I have a series of cases in the Supreme Court. I am expecting a fresh parliamentary elections in end of the year, and I've also gone to court to prove that the electronic voting machine can be rigged, and therefore amendment is necessary. The court asked me what's that amendment. I said a voter receipt I must get, and after reading the voter receipt I'll put it in a box and go. If there's a dispute I'll count that and not the machine, and therefore now it's going to be very difficult to use the electronic voting machine to get a majority. Of course, you see, it can be rigged because the machine has a microcontroller, and a Japanese company produces it and it embeds it for the Electronic Corporation of India. So I contacted the Japanese company and I said, this microcontroller, is it the best quality you produce? He said, yes. I said, do you use it in Japan? He said, don't be silly. In Japan, we don't believe in electronic voting machine. We use ballot papers. England uses ballot papers. Germany, the Supreme Court has said, stop this electronic machine, use ballot papers. India has brought in, they claimed originally in court, oh, the world over, there is demand for our electronic voting machine. So I asked the court to give them a list of countries which are buying our electronic voting machine. I know which names came: Venezuela, Nigeria, Mauritius, and Malaysia. These countries do want to rig the election, I think, and that's why nobody else wants to buy it. Electronic voting machine has been responsible for rigged elections for the last two elections, 2004 and 2009, and the next election should not be rigged. That I thank again the court for directing this election commission to give a voter slip. The election commission is now finally agreed, and therefore I think we will in the next election get a government which will be not the usual thing that you know. There are so many forces which are now working together, including the sadhus and sannyasis have come out in the field. They have a huge following. So altogether we will have something new, like in 1977, a Janata Party was created by JP, something new will come. And I hope that through this political process also, along with the cultural renaissance, that we go back to those values where we do not place money as the end of all, as everything. That system will make India once again, like it was 500 years ago, a corruption-free country. Thank you very much.